Worlds is almost here. It's my favorite time of year. Now, you may not have been able to keep up with the 3 patches that have hit since playoffs, but never fear. This episode of the Phreak Show should make patches 10.17, 18, and 19 clear. For reference, we'll be looking at the postseason of the LPL, LCK, LEC, and LCS, which will be the lens through which we peer. Let's start with the relatively unchanged roles and end with the ones that'll be turned upside down. We're done rhyming, by the way. The jungle was mostly dominated by Set as a premier flex pick. Below him, we had a horde of fairly squishy, damage-focused champions like Graves, Lilia, Nidalee, and Lee Sin. Volibear and Hecarim were the only other near tanks really played. Set's tank build was kneecapped, while Evelynn and Hecarim lost some power mostly for solo queue. In their stead, Gragas got a bit of armor, Jarvan got some Q damage, Xin Zhao got some W damage, and Ivern's shield slow got buffed. I only have high hopes for Jarvan joining the fray. With Lilia, Nidalee, and Graves untouched, I'm expecting that triumvirate to take over Worlds, but there is a healthy cadre of engaged champions ready to rumble if the need arises. Now, top lane and mid lane often share champions. We'll cover the flex picks first, then dive into the individual breakdown afterwards. Set was played in every single lane during the top 4 postseason, so it should come as no surprise that he's showing up here in the nerf column. In short, AD Set came out unscathed, which means I think Set is still a viable top laner, but should fall beneath his replacements in mid, jungle, and support. Akali was primarily a mid laner, but is still flexible between those 2 roles of top and mid. Now, she lost the Q damage she gained back in 10-16, but she kept the magic damage shuriken flip, and overall, I think she should still be viable. A crucial nerf among these patches was on Lucian. He got some very big buffs in 10-16, and sure enough, he shot up the ranks in pro play. As a dominant mid-top flex, Riot took down his attack damage growth stat to make his late game worse, but I fully expect Lucian to be a massive pick at Worlds this year. Sylas, Rumble, and Aurelia may be joining the flex mix. A big buff to Rumble's Q should put him down onto any team's radar, while late-game Sylas' ultimate cooldown is going to be scary. Now, I don't think he's actually much stronger, but teams may still pick him up on occasion. Aurelia's ultimate buff was similarly small, but is another champion that saw occasional play and should continue. Now, it's time for some top lane specifics. A small late game buff to Aatrox's ultimate is enough to remind pros that he exists. Kael's E is now free and has a lower cooldown, but her mana cost increased elsewhere, but this is a buff overall. It's going to be tough for Kael to find space to scale at Worlds, but I can see these 2 wing top laners getting picked a couple of times. Shen was an absolute monster since his buffs a couple months ago, which has been walked back by half. I think Shen is still an excellent top laner, and we should see him at Worlds this year. Otherwise, the 2 most picked top laners, Renekton and Ornn, have gone through these patches unscathed. Now, I don't think either is overbearing, but we should expect to see both of them quite a bit. Now, mid lane specific champions have a bit more going on. Orianna, Azir, Zoe, and Twisted Fate were the 4 most picked mid lane champions in the postseason. 2 of those champions, Azir and TF, as well as Galio for good measure, are taking a knee. Galio lost 10 damage on his Q, Azir lost 5 to 10% attack speed, and Twisted Fate lost 5 movement speed. These are all pretty small, but they'll push them down a little bit. As for the buffs that mattered, well, we already discussed those in the flex pick section, so we're good here. Now, I don't expect the champion pool to change that much. TF likely remains the #1 pick in ban. Lucian will join and be close behind. Azir, Orianna, and Zoe will continue to be mainstays as well. The occasional Akali and Sylas are the most likely to switch things up. Finally, we have the bottom lane duo to talk about. Now, the support half is pretty easy. Tank Set got nerfed, and Lux in the Guardian Keystone got hit too, which is mostly an Enchanter nerf. Honestly, though, support is in a really healthy spot with huge variation. Now, it's definitely a bit tank skewed with Nautilus, Thresh, and Tahm Kench leading the pack, but again, there is a lot of room to pick what you want. The AD carries are where things heat up. Caitlyn received 2 sets of nerfs and is now weaker than she was before the 10.15 buffs. Now, she was completely unseen before those buffs, but I have a suspicion that she will still get played at Worlds despite being weaker than when she was 0% pick and ban, because pros are fickle like that. The true queen of bottom lane is going to be Ashe. Caitlyn's nerfs were big enough, and Ashe's nerf of 2 attack damage was small enough that she will be by far the most contested pick of bottom lane at Worlds. Ashe is the queen not only of Avarosa and the Freljord, but also League of Legends at Worlds. Now, joining her in the nerf pile is Senna, who is getting fewer souls from minions that she kills, which should nerf AD Senna but not support Senna. And now we're in for the fun part. I have no idea what other bot laners are going to be played at Worlds. Kai'Sa got more AD growth and supercharged attack speed. Also, players trying a new build with Serrated Dirk and Essence Reaver and Nashor's Tooth in order to get the evolves even faster. That seems pretty strong. Xayah also got some pretty substantial AD growth. Misfortune gained move speed on Strut and some attack speed growth. Aphelios got some AD growth. Vayne got more bonus AD on her ultimate. Sivir got more move speed on her passive. Twitch deals a lot more damage during his ultimate. And Varus got buffed, but he's garbage, so forget about that. So we got 7 new champions maybe joining the roster, and I don't know which ones are going to make the cut here. Now, I am leaning into Kai'Sa and Misfortune as the most likely champions to join the pro roster, and Kalista, Ezreal, and Jhin were already positioned to pick up the slack left by Caitlyn and Senna nerfs, but we could honestly go anywhere with this. So that's it for the recap of the Phreak Show. To show you what has happened since playoffs, stay tuned for Worlds.